Well, we finally did it. We got the Osmumten's Fang. Excuse this really packed inventory, but we did it. We finally got it, and I say finally as if it took a very long time. It wasn't that bad, all things considered, but I mean, if we look at our log, that was our 8th purple, so whether or not that's lucky or unlucky, I mean, I don't know. But overall, we got what we were looking for. The Osmumten's Fang is huge in a lot of pieces of content, and I'm excited to try it out and test it in different places. Maybe use it for some casual slayer. I would like to go back and do 99 at some point, so that's something we're going to look into. So along with all these collections logged, we can actually show on screen the total loot we've gotten from basically all of our KC. Now this is not just since I started doing experts, this is with everything, so yeah, I'm pretty solid overall. A good amount of raw GP as well. As you can see, I have a 7.6 mil cash stack, and about 6.6 mil of that is GP I've gotten from alching all of the items I had. So all of the dragon stones, all of the battle staves. Now, one of the other goals I'm starting to work on is completing up to the elite combat achievements. And along the way, we did knock out a few Tombs of a Masket, but honestly, I didn't even look at them, so I'm not sure which ones I'm missing. I'm going to have to go through this again in the future, maybe knock some of these out again pretty soon. Alright, but what is next for us? Well, I've been talking a lot in this spot, so I apologize, but the next thing we're going to be doing is doing some Corp. And the reason I'm doing this is because now that I have the Fang, I'm not going to be holding on to this Hosta much longer, because it doesn't serve a purpose, it doesn't have a whole lot of a use. I may hold it for a little bit longer after Corp just to use for Cerberus, but all things considered, the Zemi Hosta, since I have the Lance and the Fang, is kind of irrelevant at this point, but it is great at Corp. It is still the best in slot there if you're doing the spec down method. The Fang can be used as well, but I figure I might as well just use the Hosta since I have it. Okay, lots of talking still, but last thing I'll mention is, of course, combat achievements. There are 5 for this boss, all of them pretty easy. They're really just, one of them is finishing it off with a special attack of a Crystal Halberd. This one I will not be doing because I would have to go get a Crystal Halberd, which I believe requires some sort of diary completion, which I definitely don't have. But maybe in the future. I'm going to do, at least 50 KC, so I'll get that one knocked out. Killing it without the Dark Core, taking damage from it, that should be totally fine. And then, of course, 25 kills. So, yeah, I figured this is just some free combat achievements that I can do to get a little bit closer to that elite tier. And we're dropping the Abyssal Dagger to someone in the Ultimate Ironman CC because I don't really have a use for it. And it's essentially the same as a Zemi Hosta. In fact, the Zemi Hosta is slightly better as a stab weapon. Also, a little bit of a mistake I've been making is I've been using my Blood Fury the last 2 kills, which has burned a pretty decent amount of charges with the amount of times you need to hit Corp. So what I'm going to be doing is actually dismantling this or removing this Amulet of Glory from my house, because by doing so, I'll get the glory back. I can use that right now, save myself the Blood Fury charges, and then I can always mount it back in the player-owned house after I'm done. Well, that's a pretty cool drop to see. Weirdly enough, I don't think a lot of people consider that Corporal Beast actually generates quite a bit of raw GP, and this is due to the Onyx Bolts drops. And in the 50 KC that I was doing for the combat achievements, I actually got so many of them, which is really nice because I was running a little bit low on GP, so it's great to have that built up just while I'm knocking these tasks out. Honestly, Corporal Beast was pretty chill with the spec down method. You don't get a lot of kills per hour, but it is really relaxing because once you've spec'd the boss down, you can kind of just go AFK for the most part, and overall, I've had a good time doing it. I could see myself coming back here way into the future. And getting into the Phantom Muspah combat achievements, we actually got the Ancient Icon, which is a pretty cool item to see. Okay, this will be 50 KC, but that was just the saddest attempt at getting a PB, because I landed both Warhammer specs in that kill and it was still 3 minutes, so I'm going to give it one more try because that does not feel fair, like a fair attempt at completing this combat task. Yep, it just does not look like it's realistic right now. I would probably need a mage switch to do an under 2 minute kill, And honestly, I just don't even want to bother regearing just for that one combat task. So we'll come back to that if we really need a relatively easy combat achievement to complete to get to the elite tier, but I have a feeling we'll be able to find some tasks to complete to be able to get these last 66 points. So yeah, we're gonna go and look at what we can do next. Okay, real quick, I figured I would just recap Phantom Muspah. We completed quite a few combat achievements, and that is awesome because we're trying to work towards completing elite tier. We also got 4 out of 6 of the uniques. We did not get any Venator shards, which I believe is a 1 in 100 drop rate. Maybe it's 1 in 50, but I can't remember. But it's 1 in 50 or 1 in 100. It's a pretty low drop rate, but you need a bunch of them to make the bow. And of course, we didn't get the pet, which is totally fine. We're going to come back to this boss for sure because I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. It's kind of like a Zulrah where you can just farm it. It's pretty easy to run back and get to the boss. And even if you only do like 1 or 2 kill trips, it's still pretty chill, I feel like. So yeah, we're gonna do this and hopefully we can complete this collection log in the future. Also, I will put up quickly on screen, here is the loot from the 50 KC. We did 51 KC, but I don't know why Runelight did not track the 1 KC for some reason in there. But yeah, a pretty solid amount of loot, lots of GP actually from all of the alchables, which is really the biggest thing for me. I'm trying to build up a bigger GP cash stack. And also, we got a little bit of runes and some good seeds. We're actually up to 83 Ranars already after farming out all of the ones we got from Tombs of Amasket before. So we have a lot of good seeds to get through, which I'm going to start to work on at some point in the future, but that's really awesome to see. Okay, I think this will complete the combat task for Wolf Puncher. I absolutely did not do that, I think the way that most people do, which is they use a corrupted weapon and they punch it or basically force it to always be on the prayer that is not your corrupted weapon. However, I could not figure out how to do that 5-1 method or whatever it was called. I kept messing it up, so I just did the kill like normal but with a basic weapon and tier 2 armor, and it worked out fine for me. So alright, that should be the tier 3 armor corrupted warrior combat achievement completed. So that is pretty much all of the corrupted gauntlet achievements that we can do right now. Again, I think I can do Egniol diet, but I'd rather not have to sweat that hard for this combat achievement, and I don't think I'm really desperate for the 6 points just yet, similar to the Phantom Muspah task. But we do still have the regular Hunlift, which has quite a few combat achievements that we can do. I have not done really any Hunlift, which is why a lot of these are not completed. There's actually no way. I just got a 5-minute 0.6 PB on a... Oh my gosh, I have to do this again. Finally, after quite a few immediate exits, we were able to get a sub 5-minute kill. I can actually do technically the last one, which is the Egniol one. I think that one's not going to be as bad in the regular gauntlet, but I'm gonna be honest, not really too concerned with that, because I think we're gonna get quite a lot of points from doing the Tazar challenges. So there are 11 challenges for the Tazar Ket Rax challenge, which is basically, you know, you can just go into the instance. It's pretty straightforward. I haven't done any of these before, but most of them are pretty straightforward, at least for some free points. I'm not probably gonna try that hard to do like the 6 Jad challenge or anything like that. That is 3 combat tasks in one go. We got facing Jad head on, which I believe is melee, a near miss, which is tanking a hit, and then we got denying the healers too, which is a Grandmaster task. And that one's actually pretty straightforward. I actually watched a little bit of a video from Wild Mudkip. We did it! With that Jad challenge completed, that officially marks the end of the elite tier of the combat achievements being completed. This is really symbolic because we got this along the way to doing a lot of the combat achievements for the hard tier, but we just completed the elite tier. This would not have really been possible without the change to the point system. As you can see, we're very far away from actually completing the elite tier, so we still have a lot of combat achievements that we can work towards, and I don't know, maybe at some point get masters. I highly doubt it. I think it's going to be a very long road, but this will give us something to work for. But we're here because we unlocked new combat achievements. And there we go, the Gommel's Hilt 4, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool looking, all things considered. It also does allow you to teleport 3 times a day to Moral Wreck, which is not particularly useful, I think, but I mean, that's a perk nonetheless. And as you can see, we have the red Slayer helmet here, which I'm actually kind of sad to let go, because back when we were doing the 95 Slayer grind for Hydras, this was one of the earlier things we got when we were killing Abbey demons. I got randomly the Abbey head, and I made it into the red Slayer helmet because I loved how it looked. I'd always wanted a Slayer helmet to be colored, and I don't know, it just feels like it was a symbolic part of the account. I know it really wasn't anything special. A lot of people have red Slayer helmets. We're going to have Gommel customize our Slayer helmets and turn it into a Jad Slayer helmet, which honestly looks pretty insane. And I guess, you know, if we're still talking about red Slayer helmets, this is pretty close. It's a little off color from all the other reds, which, you know, it just doesn't fit as well as the Abyssal one. But man, the Jad Slayer helmet is very, very cool. And I don't know, it's awesome that we finally got that. If we look at the elite tier, we did get, of course, the experience lamp. The elite clue scrolls being increased by 5% is not a huge thing for us. And this is actually the biggest reward that I was concerned with, which is that superior Slayer creatures are 25% more common now when you're doing Slayer, of course. And this makes it so that they spawn at a 1 in 150 chance rather than a 1 in 200 chance, which is pretty significant.